It's Throwback Week. Come on, let's rewind it back. Oh, no. Too far. Go, a little forward, more forward. All right, all jokes aside, we have NASCAR Throwback Week. This, for me, as someone who loves NASCAR history, is probably one of my top 5 weekends of the year as a NASCAR fan. And every year I love looking at all the different throwbacks that different drivers have. I know that NASCAR tries to have a theme for it, but letting people just be creative and having all of these different throwbacks from different eras all on the same track is so cool to me. So today we're going to look at the top 10 NASCAR throwbacks of 2022. Starting off at number 10, we have Corey LaJoie's Throwback to Marty Robbins. Listen, my grandpa was a big fan of Marty Robbins, both with music and in racing, and it's part of what got him into racing. So for me, I will say it's a personal one. But his story is relatively forgotten, which is crazy because it's so unique to have a musician be a professional race car driver all at the same time. So I think that story needs light, and this is something that would do really good for it. And it's creative as well. The colors are just like Marty Robbins was, and they'll stick out on track easily. And on top of that, they managed to get the 777 number that Marty Robbins drove on the car, even if it's not 100% accurate. And that kind of creativity, in my opinion, deserves recognition. Moving on to number 9, we have Harrison Burton in the Cup Series with his throwback to Jeff Burton, his father. I love when drivers who are second or third generation throw it back to their father or grandfather who was in racing. I think it's something that really shows the family aspect of NASCAR that is absent in pretty much any other major sport in America. And to be honest, with the X-Side car, yes, I know this has been thrown back before, but having it on the car of another Burton, in my opinion, adds a bit more to it. At number 8, we have Kyle Larson with his throwback to Tim Richmond, as well as the old All-Star Racing Chevrolet that started out Hendrick Motorsports. For anyone who's watched this channel before and seen what I've had to say about paint schemes, for me, it's simple. I think simple, for the most part, is almost always better, and in this regard, it's so true. And the Red 5, in my opinion, fits perfectly with this weekend and gives a great feeling of a scheme from the 70s or 80s, something that I think is sorely lacking from today, where a lot of schemes are very busy. And it is insanely accurate to the original paint scheme it's throwing back to. With the number font changed, with the sponsor font changed, Hendrick going all in on this, in my opinion, was a complete W this win. It feels as retro as this weekend should feel. At number 7, we have our first Xfinity car on the list, with Jeremy Clement's throwback to the old Wrangler cars in Dale Earnhardt and Bud Moore. This scheme is absolutely iconic. I think that a lot of fans really got back on the train of loving the Wrangler scheme when Dale Jr. drove it in 2010 at Daytona, and every time somebody does a throwback to it, it seems to get more and more accurate to that era. And with this one, there is tons of accuracy. Granted, there's no Wrangler sponsorship, but that's okay. With the sponsor being willing to change stuff up for this scheme, I think that makes up for it. And you have the same scheme. You have the same number font. The only difference is the 51 for the 15. But switching the numbers around, hey, you know what? That's still insanely close as well. And with the colors fitting perfectly to what the old car was, I think that Jeremy Clement's team knocked it out of the park with this one. For number 6, let's stick with the Xfinity Series and Sam Mayer with his and JRM's throwback to Rick Mast's number 1 car. What I like here is the same number and font. That one font, in my opinion, is one of the most beautiful fonts to have a number in that NASCAR has ever seen, especially in the last 30 to 40 years. And for Dale Jr.'s sake, and I'll be honest, for my preferability as well, the number leaning forward looks amazing. So having the number be the same, having the scheme be the same, and having everything for the most part look just like a car right out of 1993, in my opinion, is a complete win as well. I always have high expectations for JRM and Dale Jr. schemes overall when it comes to his teams or him in general, because he is such a student of the sport. So for them to live up to those high expectations for me puts it on the list because this accuracy is top notch. Entering the top 5, we have Chris Buescher with his throwback to Matt Kenseth. This scheme is nearly 100% perfect with the accuracy. The colors are the same. You have the same contrast of yellow and black overall. You have the Robbie Reiser 17 font back, and it fits really, really well with the new number placement. And while all that alone was gonna get this on the list, I think what boosted up just a little bit more, and you know that Roush had to see it coming, and that's why this scheme was one of them that could be a Kenseth throwback, is because Matt Kenseth is in the Hall of Fame. Having a true Matt Kenseth throwback, in my opinion, is one of the best things that you could have for this weekend especially. At number 4, we have our only Truck Series entry on the list, with Matt DiBenedetto throwing it back to the Silver Bullet. I've said this before on throwback videos that the Silver Bullet is one of the best schemes in NASCAR history and is a personal favorite of mine. While I didn't watch it for very long at the start of my time watching NASCAR, it was one that always caught my eye. Whether that was at the track or on TV, that silver shines so well, both at night as well as during the day. So it doesn't matter when you run this, it's gonna always look good. And Brackley did a very good job with this one, as the font for the sponsorship is the same. You have the same mountains going down the side. You have the silver all the way down it as well, and the red numbers fit amazing too. And I gotta say, for a Cup scheme getting moved to a Truck Series truck, well, it fits really well. I never thought this scheme would be applicable to a truck. So, good job all around. Now to the podium. With number 3, it has to be William Byron throwing it back to Jeff Gordon's old Flames DuPont cars. Listen, the rainbow is always used. It's been used in virtually every kind of throwback at least once a year since 2014-15, somewhere around that range. And while that's a great iconic scheme, the Jeff Gordon Flames car that he had in the 2000s is iconic to a complete other generation. I know that kids from the 90s loved that rainbow scheme, but kids from the 2000s, like myself, like those who are around my age, in their lower to mid-20s, we grew up with that Jeff Gordon scheme. That was one of probably the 3 or 4 most iconic schemes of NASCAR's most popular era, and I'm so glad that Hendrick Motorsports is finally throwing back to it. Getting the silver medal is an Xfinity team. This being Ty Gibbs' throwback to Bobby Labonte's 2002 Interstate Battery Shark scheme. Aside from the number, everything about this scheme is accurate. You have the green all the way down it in the same color it was back then. You have the black and red shark colors, the little streaks down the side of it that are almost exactly to the design of the 2002 car. You have the old school Interstate Batteries logo, so the sponsor's playing along with it. The numbers as well are the same color and have the same outlines, which I appreciate. And I gotta say, it is really cool seeing a driver throw back to the year they were born, and me actually for once remembering that year. Yes, Ty Gibbs was born in 2002, the same year as this scheme. So, pretty cool to see that Interstate Batteries has literally been around so long, they can throw back to schemes that were around before their drivers were born with the same team. So this one has to get high praises as well. And now with number 1, I gotta go with basically a twofold scheme, but it all goes in one package. So we're gonna have it be one. And that is Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez throwing back to Dale Earnhardt and Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s cars that they raced in Japan against each other. Trackhouse once again overperformed. They understood the assignment and then exceeded it. They get complete extra credit for this one. They have the same number with the 1, aside from the Wicked Witch jumping in. And the font is also the same on both of them. The 99 has the same font as the old Dale Earnhardt 3. You have the same sponsor with Coca-Cola, even going as far to bring back the old Coca-Cola polar bears that really have been taken out of a lot of the mainstream branding for Coke, especially when it comes to sponsorships. In a way, the one car you could even say is throwing back to the old school team, as that one car, when you trace back the lineage, goes all the way back to the one team at DEI. And with Ty Norris owning it, the old general manager at DEI, well, you basically have a bit of the legacy of DEI living on, and in this case, winning the Throwback Week. And with that, those are my 10 picks for the best throwbacks of the year. Now, I want to pass it to you. What are your favorite NASCAR throwbacks of 2022? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. Thank you to all my channel members for your continued support, and until next time, have a good one.